Damon, chat, we are the Arizona Wildcats. We are the unanimous #1 team in the nation, and we have the best backcourt in the nation too. Let's talk about it.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. I am your host, Damon Farrell, a.k.a. Damon Dog. He's my co-host, my gracious co-host, Kevin Thomas, a.k.a. Kevo Post, and we are the AZ Wildcats podcast. We're presented by our friends over at Branded Bills today, as we always are, Kevin, because we love that premium headwear and apparel, especially that campus collection. Head on over to brandonbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order. One rest, I should say, after the Arizona Wildcats, #1 team in the country, takes down number 13 BYU in Provo in a game that really wasn't close until it was at the end. The Wildcats still managed to get the W off the back of a very, very good block by one Brayden Burries. We got a lot to talk about today, Kevin. One night's rest, as I said, to kind of mull it over, think about some things, maybe see if that anger would settle down on Tony Padilla. Spoiler alert, I don't think it did. And how are we feeling? One, I guess, rest removed from one of those big-time W's that we've become accustomed to seeing this season, Kevin.
I'm feeling good about being undefeated still. And I think that's how I wake up this morning. I'm just thankful that we don't have to go through the whole rigmarole of, what went critically wrong? And is BYU now the best team in the big? Like, we don't have to do all that projecting and talking about all that sad stuff. We can talk about the lessons Arizona and the players learned, while also talking about still being the unanimous #1 team, still being one of 3 remaining unbeaten teams in the country, and the best start in program history, tied with 2013-14 now. So vibes are still very high, despite, Arizona's best attempt to shoot themselves in the foot and allow Tony Padilla to shoot themselves in the other foot and still try to limp across the finish line. Happy to be undefeated today, Damon. But my biggest takeaway from last night's game, I can't shake it, is this conversation, this idea of, does Arizona have the best backcourt duo in the country, right? And Brayden Burries, Jaden Bradley going off for, 55 points last night, like 7 rebounds, and I don't know, like it was a ton of production out of your backcourt last night. And it had me thinking back to the Media Day podcast that we did live from the Wood Grain and McHale Center, the new Cactus Court. Damon and Kev were there covering Media Day, interviewing the players, talking to one Jaden Bradley about preseason expectations or lack thereof for him, and maybe being left off of some of these lists. And as we look at these lists from the preseason, Damon, this is from Ryan Hammer, who I have a lot of respect for. I think he thinks the game very well, and he cares about college basketball and wants to cover it, to the best of his ability. And
but what was Blood thinking?
Analytically as possible. And as Damon says, what was he thinking? This was his best backcourts in college basketball from the preseason. And he had a whole honorable mention section with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams deep. Didn't get to Arizona.
How many teams on that list have we beat already and dominated their backcourt?
1, 2, 3, 4. Four of these teams.
5.
5. Auburn. 5.
Auburn.
I missed Auburn.
And you have the opportunity to still play Texas Tech and Kansas and Houston as well. Like, and not to say that those teams wouldn't be able to give Arizona maybe a game where their front court outplays Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries, but I think that the impassioned anger from me and Kevin right now, and obviously I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek, is because that's ridiculous. Like they belong somewhere on that list, whether or not you think that they are the #1 team in the country from a guard duo perspective. They absolutely belong somewhere on that list in the top 10, not even in the honorable mention. And what an absolute, mockery of preseason lists that were going on this offseason when, and no offense, because he's played great and maybe he even deserved it, but like we got Mo Krivas getting more respect, Big Mo in the offseason when he was such a mystery, he was such an unknown, over Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries, who is a top 10 recruit in the country, 5-star. Like that just doesn't check out. That wouldn't happen at any other program if their senior point guard came back, a Power 5 program, and they got a top 10 5-star recruit. Every single publication in the country would say, wow, that is a top 10 backcourt. But for some reason, when you got that Arizona next to your name, it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't shine as bright for some of these national talking heads.
No, yeah, and I think, like, as we continue to look at these lists, like Ryan Hammer's list was what, like 17 teams deep, right? This one coming up from College Basketball Report is 25 programs deep. 25. Now, obviously, Arizona makes the list.
Dude, I'm crying at Washington. I know that this one has Washington lower, but the last one had Washington higher, dude.
Yeah.
Dead ass.
Yeah, Washington made the graphic. Arizona did not make the graphic. But like I said, from CBK Report, Arizona comes in at 14 in the preseason backcourt rankings. And then you have Duke, Auburn, Florida, UCLA, Kansas, Arkansas, UConn, BYU, Alabama, Kentucky, Louisville, and Houston, Purdue, all above them. And so I thought, Damon, because like minds, great minds think alike, because I came in today and I was like, oh, I wish I had the foresight to talk to you and be like, Damon, remember those preseason lists we threw at Jaden Bradley? Can you pull some of those up? And you were like, Kevin, I already saw the show topic. Already ahead of you. Had him in the Slack already.
I'm scouring the streets trying to find some ammo here because, and let me tell you, it wasn't that hard to find.
No.
Hey, Deion Coach Prime Sanders. I ain't hard to find, Kevin. And these terrible, awful, no good, very bad lists were absolutely easy to find when you type in backcourt college basketball latest and you're just searching through and you're laughing. Yeah. You're laughing at these lists. Like Sam says here, like UCLA, they tried to legitimately sell us that Donovan Dent and Sky Clark are a better backcourt than Brayden Burries and Jaden Bradley with a straight face, Kevin. They were saying it, and they weren't joking. They were being dead serious.
Yeah.
St. John's, one spot behind Arizona on that last list that you just showed. St. John's on the honorable mention, and Arizona not on the other list that you just showed. Like, look at the class of teams U of A is with. Ohio State, St. John's, Illinois, Washington. Other than Illinois, I don't really respect any of those teams, like, at all.
Like on the top right side of the column there? Yeah. Ohio State's like a one-man band in the backcourt, in my opinion.
Those are 20-point blowout wins for the Wildcats in which our backcourt dominates like they have all season long against every team there that's not named Illinois.
Yeah, I agree with you. But seeing those lists again had me thinking, Damon, like, so are we crazy? Are we watching the wrong sport? Are we watching a different sport than everybody else? Like, what are we seeing that these people are not seeing about Arizona's backcourt? So I took it upon myself to try to find some sort of metric to compare these damn backcourts. So I've gathered, let's see how many schools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different programs that I think could be involved in that best backcourt in the country conversation. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just like a kind of a teaser kind of a list. This is off the top of my head, the schools that I thought of in the best backcourt in the country conversation. We're going to compare them to what Arizona is doing. And the only way to do that is give you the baseline. So what is Arizona's backcourt doing? Jaden Bradley's doing this. As we see, we got this from Brian Peterson on Twitter today. Jaden Bradley versus ranked teams this season. Almost 20 points a game on 56.9% from the field, 55.6% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. Since 2005, no other D1 player has averaged those numbers in 6 or more games against ranked teams. Period. End of story. That is special. And now when you combine it with his backcourt partner, Brayden Burries. Now, this is from Evan Mia. All these screenshots are going to be from Evan Mia for the duration of this pod today until we get to some other fun stuff a little bit later. But as we see Jaden Bradley's player skill percentiles. Now, we don't got to spend too much time staring at graphs today, but the most important part of this is to show you what Arizona's backcourt is elite at. Playmaking, defensive impact, assists, and honestly, the three-point shooting is pretty damn decent as well, the efficiency. To be in the 92nd percentile for Jaden Bradley and to be in the 90th percentile for Brayden Burries. And also to see what they're not so good at. Because we're going to see some backcourts later that in these percentiles, Damon, are in like the 30s and in like the 20s. They are not good.
Do you know what Jaden Bradley's shooting from three right now?
Overall for the season?
Yeah. Take a stab.
Like 46%?
44.4%. Wow. I mean, he shot 32.1% last year on 2.1 attempts per game. He's shooting a little bit lower attempts per game right now in 1.7, but he's making more than he did last season on a per game basis at 0.8. I think that you couldn't ask for a more efficient Jaden Bradley from a 3-point shooting perspective. So while that might be a little bit shocking to look at, like the stats bear it out, no doubt about it. And it's what's going to help make him an NBA player
1,000%.
is his ability to, add that to his game, because you think about him and what he really truly has in his bag. It's essentially everything except that 3-point shooting ability. But if he's going to end the season over 40%, how could you possibly argue that that's not something that he also possesses? So Jaden Bradley, I think it's been a little bit of an odd situation last two off seasons with him like testing the NBA draft waters, but I really do think he truly was trying to just hear from what they wanted him to work on, and he's gone about his business and really made some drastic changes in his shooting ability, and it's been incredible to watch this season, Kevin.
It really has. And you mentioned the NBA piece of it. I said last night to you, I believe, damn, Jaden Bradley hooping in front of all these scouts like this, someone's going to start to notice something, right? And if we're talking about just pro basketball players, guys that win games for their team, Jaden Bradley is at the upper echelon, 99th, 100th percentile of that list. And pro programs understand that. Pro franchises understand that, Damon. And let's continue to break this down, right? Because we got a bunch of schools to go through. Where should we start? Let's start with Houston, right? The bar at which we believe the Big 12 is set. Houston's backcourt, for which the purposes of this, I've tried to get it down to 2 as much as I could. I think for Louisville, I had 3. But either way, Milos Uzan and Kingston Flemings. I mean, goodness gracious, Kingston Flemings. 99th percentile in playmaking, 99th percentile in assists, scoring volumes out of the roof, steals out of the roof, defensive impact up the wazoo. 3-point shooting's pretty damn good as well, right on par with Burries and Bradley. Offensive impact, however, I was kind of surprised by this, Damon, for him to only be in the 80th percentile, and for the turnovers to be in the 43rd percentile. I'm assuming that is because he is a freshman and you have the ball with him so much. Uzan, though, offensive impact in the 28th percentile. You're losing a ton of 2-point efficiency with Uzan. The steals are not nearly as prevalent. He's keeping better care of the ball than Flemings. But as we look at Arizona's backcourt versus Houston's backcourt, Damon, I think that and some of the other comparisons, we can go through them now. Let's just go ahead and do that. Alabama, Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon. LeBaron Philon, 15th percentile in turnovers. Meanwhile, Aiden Holloway is 63rd percentile in defensive impact. You're losing a ton of defense with Alabama's backcourt, and you're turning the ball over. Arkansas, who everyone loves, star freshman Darius Acuff Jr., who's now on the bottom there, who's great playmaker, awesome passer, great offensive player, 30th percentile in defensive impact, 41st percentile in steals. Malik Thomas, 31st percentile in 2-point shooting. And I think as we look, I'll pull this one for fun, Damon. Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland. Been there, beat that. You know what I mean? But the 3-point shooting, not there for Boogie Fland.
I'm sorry, who? I don't remember what team they even play for at this point.
46th percentile in 2-point shooting for Boogie Fland. Look at the offensive impact of Xavier Lee. I didn't even know that was a thing. 14th percentile in offensive impact. We don't got to go through all the schools.
Genuinely not a good basketball player, unfortunately. Not even trying to be like a jerk. He's just not cut out for this level. And the fact that he was making preseason point guard lists and Jaden Bradley was being left off of them is one of the most disrespectful things I think I've seen in my time, sitting in this chair, hosting a show, having to cover a team. What on earth were we talking about?
No, literally. And I think that just kind of bared out, in my opinion, how Arizona's best strength is their versatility and diversity of their skill set, right? You might not have the off-the-wall shooting of a Fletcher Lawyer, for example, right, who's 99th percentile in 3-point shooting, free throws off the chart, scoring volume off the chart, but he can't do it from 2. And he's not the defensive player. I mean, his defensive impact is great, but he's not the productor or productive player on defense that like a Jaden Bradley is, right?
Yeah, he's not. That's like Purdue. I'm not saying that Fletcher Lawyer is a bad defender, but I don't necessarily think that he's taken on tough matchups on a nightly basis. Whereas we're looking at these lists of these preseason, point guard rankings, guard rankings, and Jaden Bradley is playing half of these teams and outperforming all of them that he is going up against, right? Like maybe outside of what Todd Pettiford did when he was scoring just a million garbage time buckets against in that Auburn game, and LeBaron Philon also had a pretty solid game against Arizona. But outside of that, the rest of those guards had very little impact against Arizona, the ones that were above the Wildcats. And yeah, I can. What's weird for me is that, like I said about the Brayden Burries being a top 10 recruit thing, where it's like, I just can't envision a world where that's almost rendered meaningless, like it was in this one, right? Where it was like, yeah, but he's a freshman, he's so unknown, yeah. And you're like,
but Darius Acuff is sick.
You're like, what are you like? Why is our McDonald's All-American top 10 recruit considered this like big mystery type of prospect? It just doesn't really check out in my perspective. You know what I mean? So
I do.
I think that one was a shocker. And then Jaden Bradley, just anyone that has eyes, anyone that has watched this man play the sport of basketball is sitting there and going, he's just impacting the game every single night. He's helping your team win, right? And like we said it all year last year, like he was, I think, for both of our money, the best, most consistent player on the team last season. And like if you go look at, maybe some game logs, some box scores, or even the, if you're looking at some of the biggest moments like the Caleb Love shot, you might think that's a little bit ridiculous, but I think when you watch night in and night out, all you saw was a guy that was bringing it on two ends of the floor, facilitating the offense and just playing like elite basketball, as a two-way player in this game and in this league, which is the Big 12, like the most important league to be physical and have that defensive capability. It was shocking to see the lack of respect given to those two players in particular. I don't know if it had something to do with, us, the Wildcats, being considered not to have like a decent, really like bench piece. But I think that that's a bit of a cop-out, and we're seeing that your third guard's impact does not outweigh what the two starters do when your two starters are as good as Jaden Bradley and Brayden Burries.
It's another reason Tommy Lloyd, we said it, this podcast, you heard it here first months ago, Tommy Lloyd, Coach of the Year. No preseason... Oh. No preseason All-Americans, no preseason Big 12, no preseason this.
It's dusted.
He's undefeated in the conference so far through 8 games, and y'all didn't like anything he brought to the table from a roster standpoint. So now do you want to retroactively go back and be like, well, actually, the whole time we knew Burries and Bradley would be killer. We didn't want to put that pressure on y'all. You know
Bradley's
what I mean?
mid, Burries is a mystery. Koa Peat actually isn't as good as everyone thinks he is. He's kind of on the downturn, might not even be a lottery pick. But Mo Krivos is really good. Tobe Awaka, who is that? That doesn't ring a bell to me. Like that's essentially that's a quick little cliff notes of what the national media was saying about Arizona going into this season. And it's funny to look back at in the light now, Kevin, and be like, that was just a monopoly bill. Like that was not real money. How do we possibly ever think it was?
1,000%. And I think like we're talking about what makes Arizona's backcourt the best in the nation, in our opinion. And I have to agree with 3DMK in the chat, who says part of what makes their backcourt so elite as a duo is having guards that can go inside and generate fouls on opposing bigs. That's a huge benefit to their team because most players, except for Kingston Flemings, don't really make their shots inside the perimeter in spite of the defense. And 3DMK adds that he will take our guys over anyone else in the nation. And honestly, I'm with that. I agree with you on all fronts there. And I think that in terms of Arizona's backcourt, their evolution as a scoring duo, I think we talk about the numbers of it all, but I think in terms of how they're getting it done has kind of gone underrated, because I think Brayden Burries has done an incredible job of kind of molding himself and really coming on as a 3-level scorer the way that he was advertised to be for Arizona. Like he hasn't really, maybe Burries Muse, if he's still in the chat, can correct me on this. because I haven't looked at the shot charts like I know he does. But he hasn't really been utilizing his mid-range game as much as I feel like I know he has the capability to. He just hasn't had to really do that. It's been a lot of drives, creating chaos, and then maybe some open threes and creating shots off the dribble and things like that. But what Arizona's backcourt has become really good at is killing you from everywhere. Because now you got Jaden Bradley hitting sidestep threes over dudes. And that is when I think we can wrap it up and send it home and call it a day. Because if you have Brayden Burries who can drive on you and create chaos, if you have Jaden Bradley, who is one of the best drivers of the ball in the country, one of the most creative finishers in the country, and then they can also step out and shoot the three, and you know how lethal Jaden Bradley's mid-range game is. He's practically Chris Paul. He's practically college Chris Paul from the mid-range, right? This team is damn hard to stop. And you're thinking, okay, well, no way they bring it on the defense. Wrong. Jaden Bradley is one of the best perimeter defenders in the country, averaging about 2 steals a game. Brayden Burries is only getting better and more capable as he plays more college games. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's athletic, he's fast on that end. He game-winning block. Do I need to say more about Brayden Burries' defensive impact?
I mean, that's I think such a huge piece in ceiling raiser for this team almost, where I think that there were slight concerns about like his ability early in the season to, keep it locked in on defense and keep the defensive structure in place, not foul, right? He had some problems with some fouls against, I believe, Florida and UCLA, our first two, kind of premier games early in the year. I think that we're looking at Brayden Burries ascending on the defensive end of the floor as well as the offensive end. While the offensive end looks a little bit louder, like that block was special type of defensive, just like I don't know, feel, right? Like he knew he could see that it was Rob Wright with his head down going to the rim, and that's all it was going to be. That it was not going to be a pass out to somebody else, and Brayden Burries reads it perfectly, and he makes the game-saving play. One thing interesting there, Kevin, and I wonder if anyone else also agrees with me, but I was watching that play, and I was really trying to just slow it down to the every single tenth of a second, and it looked like to me Mo Krivas was going to block that shot as well, potentially, if Brayden Burries doesn't. I really think Arizona might have been okay if Brayden Burries doesn't block that shot. I'm glad we don't live in a world where we gotta even test that theory. But I just think, not that that's a backcourt discussion. It just is. It's just something that popped in my head, and I was like, I think Arizona's defense was like almost so good that 2 players might have blocked that shot.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think when we talk about Brayden Burries' help on that play, like his feel for that moment of like trusting Jaden Bradley to defend for the duration of that rep right there, but then also having the foresight to be like, all right, I trust my guy, but I also know my guy enough to know I need to help him in this moment because he's taking a risk by going for the steal. I need to take a risk by helping him and covering his ass now that he's doing this, and it wins you the game in Brayden Burries' case. So absolutely incredible performance from the backcourt of Arizona last night, Damon. And spinning this forward, I'm kind of at a point where obviously, the other freshmen in this country are going to continue to get better. Kingston Flemings, Darius Acuff, Michael Brown Jr., like these other elite guards are going to continue to get better. Darren Peterson as well. Didn't even include KU in this conversation with him, Melvin Council, and like all the dogs they got over there at Fog Allen. But it really feels like this Arizona backcourt is built to win you basketball games in any way that you need them to do it. And I think that's kind of the difference, right? I feel like there's other backcourts that, and I'm not saying that this is not an argument, right? There's certainly other backcourts that maybe you can make a good argument for, but I think that we're talking about a backcourt that has helped lead a team to an undefeated record. We're talking about a backcourt that can meld their game to any opponent. I don't think that every other backcourt that we've shown and that I have, in the list here is as moldable as Arizona's, right? Like, as even if Xavier Lee puts on the number 99 jersey and goes off in one game, like, you can't mold him to play any certain kind of way. He has to play Xavier Lee way, or else he's not going to succeed. Same thing with Illinois, in my opinion. Now, look, Keaton Vogler, this does not concern you because that kid can hoop. But Kylan Boswell, for example, like, that is a player who, as versatile as he is, still is in a box in a way, in the way that his game has to be played to succeed.
Yeah.
I think what
I hear
Arizona's backcourt is so good at is they don't need to play any certain type of way. They can beat you in any way they need to. They can contribute in any way they need to, whether it's 11 rebounds from Brayden Burries or 11 assists from Jaden Bradley. Like, they can kill you in a variety of ways that other backcourts cannot.
I like that take. I think that you see that the eye test play out on that when you're watching a guy like a Kylan Boswell. It's like if he's not really making a defensive impact, like is he helping out all that much? I mean, I know that he has some games here and there where he's really good offensively, but I think that it's pretty inconsistent. You know what I mean? It's ebbs and flows, it's ups and downs. And you look at Jaden Bradley, like even in his bad nights, he's scoring 10.
Yeah.
He's scoring 12. Like the dude just is so damn consistent every single night. And that goes down as one of the all-time hits, I think, for Tommy Lloyd as well, is choosing Jaden Bradley over Kylan Boswell when he was tasked with that decision. I'm not sure there's a single Wildcat fan out there that at this point is saying, yeah, that was not a move that we are happy with. But yeah, I overall, just a lot of disrespect Kevin shown towards this backcourt in the preseason. Show these lists one more time. Let's just laugh at them one more time before we move on from this topic. We got Louisville at the top, Houston, Purdue, Arkansas, Florida at 5. Florida at 5. A team that is entirely built on its front court, Kevin. A team that's front court is as good as almost anybody's, but its backcourt is nowhere near the required level. Alabama, Kansas, who you might not even know if their guy's going to play that night or not. Kentucky, what are we talking about? Wisconsin, I'm in genuine shock, Kevin. My jaw is on the floor looking at Wisconsin. UConn, of course, led by Solo Ball's flopping ass. Auburn, Texas Tech, the one-man show that is Texas Tech. Virginia, do you think those guys even average 13 combined points per game between the two of them? BYU, sure. Washington, I couldn't be laughing any harder. Ohio State, another one-man show. Texas, who?
Wow. Going at Sean Miller's roster like that.
Mark Pope from Oregon State? That's what we're hanging our hat on, Kevin, over Jaden Bradley?
Who do you think, like, if you had to re-rank some of these teams on Ryan Hammer's list with Arizona in there, what would let's just do a top 3 or 4. Like, what would your top 3 or 4 be with these teams given to you plus Arizona? Chat, you get involved as well. Rank these backcourts with what you know now.
Man, it's a tough discussion. I don't want to be like too biased, but I think it's hard to not put U of A number 1, right? I mean, you have the record, you have the production, you have players that are, playing at the top of their level right now. Brayden Burries, like, I think earlier in the season, you could have gotten away with being like, well, that's why you didn't make the list. But at this point, we're on, 2 months straight of Brayden Burries playing at a 18 point per game type of clip. Like, he's him. He's arrived. We're not worried about Brayden Burries at all at this point. Like, maybe there was a slight concern earlier in the season. So I got Arizona 1. I'll go ahead and say Purdue number 2 and Houston number 3.
I think I'm going to go Arizona 1 for the reasons we've outlined on this podcast. I think
I'll say Kansas 4. They're the wild card in this whole situation.
The way Melvin Council can ball out and go crazy. I think if I didn't take Arizona at least 1 or 2, this whole podcast concept would have been cooked. I mean, we're coming on here being like, are we the best in the nation? And then we do at the end and we're like, no. But I will say Arizona at 1. Give me Houston at 2. I love Flemings. You know that. I think Uzan in the big moments can turn it up. The shooting of Emmanuel Sharp, it fell short for them in the national title game, but he's pretty damn consistent.
That's a solid 3 right there.
It's damn good. It's really damn good. And then give me Louisville. Give me Louisville at 3.
Even though they got skunked by Duke?
That is what was that?
Huh?
I don't know what noise I just made, but
I mean,
I just love their shooting, man.
By Duke.
Like Michael Brown Jr. is really good. McNeely's one of the best shooters in the country. I love Conwell, what he was able to do at Xavier last year.
I mean, how are you going to lose by 31 in your biggest game of the season when you're like the one team that might be able to give competition to the top dog in your conference?
Yeah.
Them or North Carolina probably. I mean, that's I hear you. They're good. They're really good. I just give me the team with Braden Smith over
you're right.
over those guys.
You're right. You're right. My love, as Sam Albert said, Conwell is a dog, and I think my love for Conwell in this situation is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and I love McNeely's shooting ability. Right?
Where does Florida rank on your list?
Oh man, not. Oh,
I mean,
man.
in the top 25 guards.
Yeah,
like I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even
Right?
think that. Dude,
Top
Xavier
25,
Lee's
right?
shooting 27% from three right
Oh.
now. That was supposed to be his like calling card from an offensive standpoint.
Wow. Yeah, that's brutal.
I like that backcourt is genuinely kind of bad.
I didn't know it was that. Like, you got to start rationing out Xavier Lee's makes. You got to be like, well, Xavier, let's do one tonight. Maybe we'll have you do two next week.
Well, Xavier, we play Alabama on the road tonight, so maybe save this game because we don't really think we're going to win, but we could really use it against Auburn at home.
Oh, my God. Real Pigeon gave me an idea. Xavier Lee is an extra large failure at Florida. That was not nice, but it was funny. Yeah, I think Arizona 1. I think Houston 2. I think Purdue 3. And I love Louisville's backcourt too much from a talent perspective to not have them 4. Alabama 5, maybe
Alabama
Illinois should be in this list somewhere too, right? Underrated. Ryan Hammer not even having Illinois anywhere here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I
actually really like what they have on paper.
I think Illinois deserves to be on that list as well. I think, I'll go Kansas 4 and I'll go Louisville 5 on my list, and then maybe Alabama in that 6th spot, an honorable mention on our top 5. But I just think, I'm gonna value the team. I think Fletcher Lawyer is a good player. Like he's maybe like a slightly better Richie Saunders. You know what I mean? Where it's like, he's what you're getting. He's got a high floor, and you're adding that onto a guy in one Braden Smith, who is one of the best players in college basketball. So
I have to do some quick thinking here. Who would you rather have on your team? Saunders or Lawyer?
I mean, I think Fletcher Lawyer, but I'm saying that a little bit in the dark here.
Yeah, because I almost feel like
he's averaging 12 compared to Richie Saunders, which I would imagine
18.8
more than that.
Yeah, but he's also in a system where it's like, we need you to do this, buddy.
NBA system.
I think I'd rather have Richie Saunders in an Arizona vacuum, mostly because of his physicality, and we know that dude is willing to mix it up in there and get into it, as we learned last year. So I think I'd rather have Saunders, as Hale Samuelson says in the chat. Saunders, no question. Saunders, Robert Roberto.
For some reason, Lawyer only plays 27.4 minutes per game.
I haven't watched Purdue in a minute, actually.
A little shocking.
I'm not gonna
honestly. Lie to you. They're not a fun watch.
Last Purdue game I watched was...
Well, Braden Smith is a fun watch, but the rest of the team is not necessarily... Oh. It's Big Ten hoops to a T.
You know what? I did watch Purdue more recently than I thought. I watched them on the 20th when they played UCLA. I did. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that minutes count. I'm an Arizona guy.
A little bit of a down year from Fletcher right now. I think Richie's playing certainly better in 2025, 2026, and there's no question about it.
Ooh, Sam Albert saying Lawyer was getting benched last game for the last 15.
Yeah. Looking at his stats, he's not playing. He's not having the best season. He had a better year last season, actually.
Yeah, give me Richie Saunders. What is he? What even is this conversation? Tater Tot, shout out as well, 3DMK. But we had our Big 12 tier rankings, Damon. We have told you, we have definitively said Arizona is the best backcourt, and now we're going to definitively tell you who the best teams in the conference are after this first break here on the AZ Wildcats pod. Leave a like, drink your water, and do not go anywhere. There's only one way to bring Vegas to your very own backyard, and that is with our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I'm talking about all the Vegas vibes with none of the Vegas fluff. All real-time enjoyment. You bring you, they bring the Vegas at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where you always do you, and you can always achieve legendary status, whether it's with their live events and, pretty much parties that they be throwing over there at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Me and Damon are partial to Wild Horse Pass, even though they have 4 locations, Beach Kiva, Santan Mountain as well out there. So enjoy exclusive concerts, DJ sets, showgirls, and more. You bring you, they bring the Vegas, only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Are you into saving a bit of money? Because there's only one stop shop for you, and it is America's thirst stop. It is, of course, our friends over at Circle K. Go join that Inner Circle Rewards membership program because it's here to save you money, Kevin. It's a free membership program. It's easy to download it and get enrolled. All you got to do is choose a username, an email, and a password, and you're done in 5 minutes. It's so easy to sign up for. And then you just plug that phone number in at the tank every single time that you show up. You'll save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up at the tank after that. And then 5 cents off once you hit premium status, which really is, I'm telling you, from a couple of average Joes up here, that is not a difficult threshold to meet. Circle K is trying to save you money on the cheapest gas in Arizona, and go check it out for yourself. America's Thirst Stop. Join that inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Bill Gans in the chat with the question. Question for the podcasters. In a tight game, is it time to think about pulling Koa Peat for a better free throw shooter, or do you leave him in for the other tangibles and intangibles that he brings? My opinion is that you leave Koa Peat in the game. The man is a winner. He knows how to win basketball games. I know that he's not the strongest free throw shooter. I don't know how far in his development plan he's going to get with that this year at Arizona. I fully have faith that, like, at the end of Koa Peat's career, when it's all said and done, the free throw shooting will not be a crazy issue the way it is right now. I would keep him out there. He is one of the better players on your team, if not the best player on your team. I think you want that guy out there in the moments that matter most. Damon, where are you at?
I trust Koa the passer. I trust Koa the rebounder, the IQ. But you're right. I don't trust Koa the free throw shooter at all. I said this earlier today, Kevin, in the office. Like, I really do think his free throw shooting ability is going to, whether it's, a positive or a negative thing, kind of impact Koa Peat's ceiling. Like, can he become a competent free throw shooter is going to have a big impact on his overall just future in the NBA, I would argue. So I hope he figures it out. I don't want to not trust who I think is maybe this team's best player, all things considered, although, that's about splitting hairs of the most splitting hairs you could possibly do, because you could probably argue 5 players are the best player on this roster, which is absolutely insane. Ridiculous to think about this far into the season and why this team is number one. But yeah, I think, I did notice that Awaka was out there instead of Krivas, and I found that interesting because Awaka missed one of those free throws, and Krivas is a significantly better free throw shooter than Tobe Awaka is. So I found that move to be a little bit more baffling, if you will, Kevin, than Koa Peat being out there on the floor. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this on the pod before. Usually with lineup stuff, like late game lineup stuff, I just kind of forfeit that to Tommy Lloyd and them, because I'm not gonna pretend to know like why he made that choice or what choice he should have made in that moment. I also, like Sam Alberts, was like, biggest guy on the court on the bench in this moment. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, it was weird. It didn't end up costing you in the end, so not the end of the world, but I definitely would love Krivas in there in that moment.
Well, there was that play at the very end, right, or not the very end, because the very end was the Brayden Burries free throws, but the free throws that we shot before that horrific Jaden Bradley foul call, it was Tobe Awaka, and he went 1 of 2 at the line, and it was because he was wide open to break the press because BYU wanted him to catch the basketball. And that was the moment where I was like, why is Krivas not out on the floor? Because he's just he gives you almost like a 20% more chance of making a free throw. And I don't really understand us sacrificing free throws or just free throw ability in that moment. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is like one of the Achilles heels of this team, is that this team shoots so many free throws, but they can miss a lot too. Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if we're in March talking about a basketball game where, man, Koa Peat he shot 50% from the line. And, this team lost by a possession, and he missed 8 free throws or 6 free throws. And it's like, that you can't have it. So hopefully it's a big point of emphasis, and hopefully there's some sort of development rest of the season. I can't it's so weird, right? Like the free throw thing, because I just can't help but feel like if you put that dude in a gym and you just made him shoot free throws and focus on that and like take care of his body, like how is he not getting better at free throws? If that was my job, Kevin, if you told me, Damon, I'm going to literally pay you 7 figures and I want you to just shoot 1,000 free throws a day, I'd be like, all right, I guess I'll get disgusting at free throws, like it just doesn't really make sense from such a good basketball player. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't know if it's like a human thing that you just can't be perfect or what. Like, I don't know.
The environment does matter.
Yeah.
And there's no replication for an in-game environment when you're outside of a game. Like, he's probably shooting 75, 80% in practice. Yeah. But when it comes to games, it's just the pressure is just significantly different.
It's like what Tommy Lloyd said the other night talking about 3-point shooting. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, these guys, they're in the gym, they're shooting threes, they're making them. In the game, they haven't fallen. So what do you want me to do with that? Quit on them? Because I'm literally seeing them do it. I know they're capable of doing it. So I'm assuming it's kind of one of those things. We see Krivas have incredible touch as well in these moments. So, yeah, I have faith that Koa Peat needs to get locked in a gym and work on that free throw. What you've been saying to Damon, after every practice, Koa Peat, you're not allowed to have your post-practice protein shake until you've hit 100 free throws. That's just what it is. I don't care if your arms fall off. Well, I kind of care if
you're not allowed to have your chrome heart.
Yeah, no Chrome Hearts drip until you've hit 100 free throws.
No more Chrome Heart for you, Koa, until you start hitting a few more free throws around here. That
Chrome
might fix
Koa,
him up into shape.
Chrome Heart Koa.
Chrome Heart Koa, baby.
Man.
Kevin, are we going to start ranking some of these Big 12 teams?
Let's do it, man. Let's get into our Big 12 tier rankings for this week. Now, Damon, last week, we had a ton of fun with our rankings. There was a ton of upsets last week. There was a ton of stuff going on. This week, I feel like it's a little more calm. You've had Houston, Texas Tech. There were some big-time matchups, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's not the shakeup of like an Iowa State losing to Houston, for example, right? So as we get into this, Damon, our first team today is going to be, I just want it to be Kansas State. Kansas State off the rip. This team is so bad. They're as Damon dances before we put him down, but
a little baby playing in my head, Kevin.
Yeah. Shout out my label. That's me. K-State in tier D. That's how this is. K-State tier D. Damon, anything else on this?
No, horrible team. You lost to ASU when you had everything on the line. It's probably been like the 6th time I've lost money on ASU somehow this season. And I really don't understand because it's not like they're very good either. But I just continue to fade them in every opportunity where they end up playing decent. It's a disaster.
Indeed. K-State, you stink. Like I said, shout out my label, that's me. You are belonging in tier D today. And as we move on to the next team on our list, give me West Virginia. Mountain Mama. Take me home. Country Road. Where should we put West Virginia? Now, I actually think West Virginia has done enough to move up in the C tier. Now, you're like, whoa. This team just got destroyed by Arizona. Right? Like, this team does not deserve to be moving up. But in my opinion, I think West Virginia is moving up in the C tier basically because some other C tier teams have fallen down into the D tier, in my opinion, as we will discuss going forward. So I think West Virginia belongs still in the C tier, but maybe in the higher upper echelon of the C tier. Where are you at with West Virginia, Damon?
I think that's fair based off their body of work this season. They got a big week coming up here, Kevin. They play Kansas State and Baylor, both at home. I think that both of those games are going to really impact our viewpoint of West Virginia, the national viewpoint of West Virginia. Are they the type of team that like could make a tournament, right? And I think that those games, like, you have to differentiate yourself from the middle of the pack of the Big 12 in those moments. And those are two of those teams that you have to beat, one of them being one of the bottom feeders. So they have 3 losses. It's to Arizona, Houston, and Iowa State in the Big 12 conference, that is. And it's hard to have a cleaner 3 losses than that. So I'm fine with them in C tier. I think that we were maybe a little unfair to West Virginia last week, even though Arizona ended up skunking them. But it really was maybe the Wildcats' most complete game of the year.
Yeah, you played the best team in the country on maybe their best night in a while. You're going to get walloped. Moving on, Damon, we got Arizona State. D tier. D tier program. D tier coach. D tier all of it, Damon. Do you agree?
Yes. ASU, Bobby's done. I'm sad. Bobby, #Bobby forever. Not funny though, Kevin. Not funny, just so you know.
Oh, I was laughing. My bad.
No, sorry. We're not allowed to laugh at it because Bobby extension jokes, I've been told, are actually that's actually not funny at all. So
you'll have to let me know who told you that, because I think they lied to
me.
It
was an ASU fan.
I still find it very funny. I actually think we should go.
The rest of us are laughing. The rest of us are laughing our asses off. But apparently, that's a step a step past comedy for ASU fans here. Let's get into our next team, Kevin.
I was going to say real quick before we move on from ASU,
Yeah.
I think that we should even have them above K-State in this ranking.
Yeah, they beat K-State.
They beat K-State. K-State might end up being the worst team on this year tier list when it's all said and done. You never know.
They also beat Cincinnati. Can we do Cincinnati right now?
Yeah, let's do Cincinnati right now.
We tried to show Cincinnati a little bit more respect last week. That was on me and Kevin. That was on us. Because now we look like idiots with egg on our face as Cincinnati gets worked by ASU. Worked by the Arizona State Sun Devils right after Bobby Hurley is complaining about how I just can't get these guys to buy in. I mean, I think that they like each other off the court more than they like each other on the court. Cincinnati sucks, man. Kevin, we were wrong in saying that they were better than we were giving them credit for. They're bad. They are the worst. Like, they are like the best defensive and worst offensive team I think I've ever seen. Like, they just went out and recruited a bunch of long athletes that are great at defense that can't put the ball in the basket. And it shows. They cannot score.
Where does that put them, in your opinion?
That puts them below ASU for me.
Wow.
You just lost to them by a lot.
Yeah, it's complicated, right? Because their defense is I don't want to say like it's statistically elite, right? But it's the strangest case. Cincinnati seems to be darlings on paper. Their roster is not like lacking a ton of talent. They do have talent on that roster. Baba Miller's quite good, but they just can't put the ball in the basket. And for that, I hear you, Damon. Let's put them below Arizona State.
I'm back on Cincinnati sucks, dude. I take back our apology from last week. # not sorry, Cincinnati.
Sorry, not sorry. Let's just get some better vibes, Damon. Let's get some better vibes. Texas Tech. Where do we got the Red Raiders? What a win over Houston, getting revenge for their most recent loss to Houston. Where do we got the Red Raiders at?
I think top 8 tier. I mean, they were at home. I think that does factor in for me. Texas Tech is one of the toughest environments to play in the country. And I think that they are the type of team, I've said this all season, like they can beat anybody. If JT Toppin and Christian Anderson are firing, they can beat anybody. And they can go toe-to-toe with the Houstons, the Arizonas, the Iowa States of the world, just with essentially 2 players and me, Kevin, and Noah Woolbrook playing with the other 3 positions on the floor. I think that Texas Tech is, like I said, they're just good enough to beat anybody. They belong at the top of the A tier for me. What a win at home. Not quite an S tier team, though, in my opinion.
I agree. I think they're at the very, very tippy top of the A tier. This is about as damn close to an S tier team, in my opinion, right now, as the Big 12 has that is not in the S tier already. Texas Tech, like you said, can be anybody on any given night. You got to love what they have with their top-end talent as well. JT Toppin, Christian Anderson. That Texas Tech team is a force to be reckoned with, Damon Dog.
Number 11 in the country now after that big weekend for them. So they've already played Houston twice, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, split them. To split with Houston already in this season is big, I think, if you're Texas Tech.
It's a W. I mean, they still left on their slate. They go at UCF, Kansas at home, West Virginia on the road, at Arizona, at Iowa State, at BYU, to name a few tough games. So still at Arizona, at Iowa State, at BYU, and then 2 of those more middling teams in West Virginia and UCF that on the road are not gimme games by any stretch of the imagination. So, I think that they're for me, they're the 3rd best team right now.
Yeah, I do think they're the 3rd best team in this conference right now. But let's talk about maybe one of those top 3 teams, Damon, the Arizona Wildcats. Our beloved Arizona Wildcats.
Stick him at number 1, Kevin. Put him where the Wildcats belong.
Yeah.
Number 1 team in the country, number 1 team in the Big 12, without a question. Shout out Texas Tech for getting a big win against Houston this weekend. That does help Arizona because now Houston has a conference loss. And Texas Tech is sitting there with 1 loss as well. But I just think it's more likely that Texas Tech loses games than Houston does if we're really trying to compare what the conference, is going to, what these games mean for the conference. So, yeah, I think that's where my mind goes with that. I think Arizona easily is number 1.
Yeah, for sure. Unanimous number 1 team in the country, undefeated, just beat BYU on the road, number 13 in the country. Arizona, number one with a bullet, in my opinion. Moving on.
Why don't we go ahead and hit our last
great,
break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast, and then we will come right back and finish out our Big 12 tier rankings. So leave a like, drink your water. Do not go anywhere. It's the AZ Wildcats pod.
That's why he's the GOAT. There's only one way to multiply the good things in your life, and it's with our friends over at Arizona Lottery, where there's over 270 M's, $270 million in prizes with their multiplier family fun pack.
Can I hold some, Kevin?
I mean, hey, if I get it, you could definitely hold some. They're perfect. They're the perfect way to add to your life. Multiply the spice in your life, because with over $270 million, like I said earlier, you could win big and do more of the things that you love with access to over 3,500 retailers across the state. You can play wherever, whenever you like, whether it's Circle K, your local Fry's. They got Arizona Lottery kiosks everywhere. So check them out. Multiplier family packs with our multiplier scratcher packs, the family of them, that is, with our friends over at Arizona Lottery.
Arizona Lottery, one of the staples here, of course, and Branded Bills is just the same, Kevin, because if you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand out from the crowd, there's only one place to go, and it's our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills, the premium headwear and apparel in the game, especially in the state of Arizona, considering they're a local company here out of Mesa, Arizona. But you guys got to check out this campus collection. I got a Bear Down hat on right now. Yesterday, I was rocking one of those PHNX sports custom hats that we've gotten from Branded Bills. Kevin was rocking just a solid Block A that people have been absolutely loving recently. Kevin, been getting a lot of shout outs for that sweet Block A dad hat, but they got every single hat for any single type of style for you, whether it's a snapback, a fitted, a trucker, a beanie, a dad hat like Kevin had on. I got a little bit of a golf rope hat situation going on. I mean, they got it all over at Branded Bills. You're gonna have to check out that campus collection for the best Arizona Wildcats headgear in the game over at brandedbills.com and use our promo code of BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Shout out Arizona Lottery, Branded Bills, Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and I believe, what was it? What was our other sponsor today, Kevin?
Circle K.
Circle K. Right, this bad boy right here. Appreciate all of our sponsors today, as always, on the AZ Wildcats podcast. You know what? We're a couple of company men here, Kevin, on this pod. Yes. But let's move on to another team on this list. Why don't we go ahead and do Utah and just get them out of the way?
Let's hit Utah. Utah, this is another D-tier team, Damon. Welcome to the D-tier Utah.
1-6, but when I faded them against BYU, they found a way to keep that one close, so that was fun. Shout out Utah for that.
Are we sure they're worse than K-State?
No, I'm not sure they're worse than K-State. They have the exact same record, but yeah, Utah, just not a good team.
I almost want to put K-State last here.
Okay. And
move Utah one notch above them, only because I think Kansas State might have given up.
Already.
I'm kind of joking. Like, I say it in jest, like I say it tongue in cheek, but like, Jerome Tang is talking about, I feel like, these guys don't like to play with one another. I'm feeling like they like to hang out off the court, but not on the court. There's a lot of that going on. And then when he finally wins a game, he's dancing with the crowd, even though it's like, dude, you got to have some foresight. It feels like you're enjoying this last ride a little bit too much. You know what I mean? And so I think that this is the worst team right now in the Big 12, K-State. And I think Utah is just one tier ahead of them. We're talking about a first-year head coach in Alex Jensen, who's coaching at one of the worst programs in the conference right now and trying to level it up. Meanwhile, their rival from just miles away is absolutely killing it in NIL. They have the number one pick. Like, there's a lot going against Utah in this conference right now. K-State does not have all that going against them, and they're still failing to succeed. So I think Utah is the second worst team right now in the Big 12, and the K-State is actually the worst.
All right, I love it. Let's go ahead and stick them there, Kevin, and let's move on to another team here, Dealer's Choice.
You know what? Let's go ahead and rank Baylor. Now, Baylor to me
another trash team.
Yes, but the crazy part is, like, why is Baylor trash?
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Why are they bad? Tunde Yesufu is awesome. He's a dog. Someone please save Tunde Yesufu from this hellscape that is Baylor and Scott Drew. And you know what, Damon? I'll go one step further. I do think I actually know exactly why Baylor is not thriving. I know exactly why Baylor is not succeeding in the ways in which that they want to, Damon. It's bad karma. Straight up. You bring James Najee into the program, that earns you, in my opinion, a D tier ranking.
I mean, they're 1-6 right now. They're tied with Utah and Kansas State. Like, I think if you're an ASU or a Cincinnati fan, you could be like, wait, we're behind these bums? But I agree with you. I'm looking at their schedule right now, Kevin, and it is somewhat respectable. Now, here's where they really effed up. They got swept by TCU, both at home and on the road. And they couldn't lose both those games, I think, and have any shot of making the tournament. I think that we're already in that portion of Baylor's season where it's like they don't have room for error whatsoever. You needed to win one of those TCU games split with that team that is decent but not great, and very, a winnable game against. Other than that, they've lost to Iowa State. They've lost to Houston. They've beaten Oklahoma State. They've lost to Kansas. They've lost to Texas Tech. So they've played a who's who almost of teams in the conference outside of losing to TCU twice. And that's what really hurts them. I agree with you. I think they're the best team here in the D tier that, we might put in this D tier today, even though they're tied for the worst conference record. I do think a lot of that has to do with somewhat of the gauntlet that they've played thus far.
I agree. Moving on, we got Houston, Damon Dog. Now, I have a question for you. I asked you earlier if Texas Tech deserves a shout at the S tier for defeating Houston, proving that they're on that level, that they can beat anybody any given night. They might have. I'm saying you can make an argument that they have the best duo in the conference, right? If you like that sort of thing. Does Houston deserve to drop down to the top team in the A tier? And has Arizona proven that no team is on their level? I know that we consider Houston the bar, and I know we have yet to play Houston. That Grim Reaper might be coming up quite soon here in the month of February, but there's only one undefeated team in the conference, and Texas Tech is looking up at Houston on our list like, we beat these dudes. What are they doing up there? Where do you think? Where do you lie on this? Is Houston staying in the S tier? Have they done enough to defend it? Or are they falling down to the top of the A tier?
I guess I'll throw a question back at you, and I think that'll help me with my answer here. If Arizona had lost that game last night, would they be out of the S tier right now? If Rob Wright's shot at the end goes in, are you sitting up here going, this is an A tier team? All of a sudden, we got to drop them down a level? Because I think there's almost nothing more respectable than finding a way to get a road W in Lubbock, in Provo.
I agree.
And Houston, yeah, they lose that game, but they showed a lot in that game. Kingston Flemings is unbelievable. You want to talk about made for the moment. Like, that dude's dropping 42, 43, if I'm not
yeah, I think
incorrect.
something like that. 44 maybe, I don't know.
In Lubbock, in an absolute crazy environment with a bunch of lunatics in the crowd probably throwing tortillas. I'm not willing to say that that's a loss that makes me think less about Houston as a team. I think that's about as respectable as a loss as it possibly can get. So for me, I think Houston wins that game if they're playing at home, and they lost that game because they're on the road. And that's why I think there's a slight difference in Houston and Texas Tech. But if you're a Texas Tech fan and you're seeing that and you're upset by it, I completely understand that. Like, that's warranted, in my opinion, for you to be riding for your team saying, we got the same record as them in this conference. We just beat them. We've split with them. We are every bit as good as that team. And I wouldn't sit here and say you're just a bumbling idiot. I think that for me, it's just that's where a flat idiot. But for me, that's right where Houston and Texas Tech is the bar for me. Like, I Texas Tech can make its way into the S tier, but yeah, I got a 2-team race at the top here in the Big 12 until I see something otherwise.
I think it's a good conversation, but I do not think that Houston has done enough to fall out of the S tier. I still think we got 2 S tier teams in this conference right now, and it's Arizona and it's Houston. Now, like you said, Damon, that is not a bad loss in any stretch of the imagination, losing to Texas Tech, specifically in Lubbock. I still think Houston has S tier capabilities, has an S tier ceiling, and certainly has a higher floor than most every team that you're going to see below them on this list.
I'm still mostly worried about Houston beating us for the conference than I am about Texas Tech. I know that our guy Jacob B. Cards here in the chat keeps pounding the drum, but like, Houston has whooped our ass.
Yeah.
And like, we gotta find a way to flip that script, because it's until Tommy Lloyd beats Kelvin Sampson, Kelvin Sampson's undefeated against Tommy Lloyd. Like, obviously, if the sky is blue, but it's just, I can't sit here and say that Houston is on a different level than Arizona when they've played almost such a clean season. Their losses are respectable. Like they're a really good team in my opinion.
Next up, we got UCF. This is, again, potentially the lone B-tier team. Damon, do you agree?
Yes. The B tier for some reason in the Big 12 has been interesting as of recently, Kevin. It's been very scarce, very not very populated. And I think UCF's getting a little bit lonely.
Now, here's the thing though. You do have a big game tonight as UCF takes on Arizona State. And if you're UCF and you still want to be considered tournament quality and you still want to be considered a B-tier team in this conference, you have to win this game.
It's a must-win.
It's an absolute must-win if you want to stay on the AZ Wildcats podcast B-tier on their Big 12 tier ranking, which I know you do. I know you want to move up to that A, potentially even S tier. It's the most prestigious nomination in all of sports. But yeah, UCF,
I don't know if UCF is ever going to be an A tier quality team for me.
But these teams yearn to be in our A tier, Damon.
Yeah,
they need it. They want it. It's B tier for UCF. Though.
You're outside the club right now. You're trying to get in.
Let's go on to TCU, Damon. TCU, in my opinion, C tier still.
Yes, I agree with you. TCU is a C tier team. I think they have the opportunity still to potentially rise higher. I mean, they did take care of business against Baylor, which, as I'm saying about Baylor, like massive for TCU, right? They are 3-4 in conference, and they've beat Baylor twice, and they've kept themselves afloat by beating Baylor. And I said at one point, when they were playing Arizona, that I felt that this was a tournament team. Losing to Utah is unacceptable.
Yeah, you can't lose to Utah and be a tournament team.
If you could probably even make the argument that they might belong in the B tier if they didn't lose to Utah. Because their losses would be at Kansas by 4 in a game they easily could have won, versus U of A by 13 in a game that was pretty close for a large portion of it, and at BYU by 6. And then they followed up with a loss against Utah. Like their resume is pretty good other than that. And so I think that for me, they're a C tier team, but they're a team that I definitely have like earmarked and that I'm watching out for potentially maybe being able to make a run at a tourney and be a B-tier team. It kind of feels like how it's worked out. The B-tier teams are the tournament teams. And the A-tier teams are like the legitimate contenders. And the S-tier teams are like the favorites in all of college basketball.
Yeah, that is kind of how this is starting to break down, right? We have like the perfect teams up top. We have some contenders to be in that tier. And like you said, you have tournament teams for sure. And then question marks, like the bubble teams, right?
They need a couple games that are going to be pretty 50-50 to go their way to end up, having a tournament bid or anything further. But yeah, TCU, C tier. Let's move on.
BYU, in my opinion, after the loss to Arizona, there is no shame in that game. Even though you lost at home, you lose to the number 1 team in the country. No shame in that game. You showed great fight coming back from 19 down, just like you did at past points in this year. This is an A-tier team still, but behind Texas Tech. Thoughts?
Yes. They fall behind Texas Tech for me as well, especially after losing when Texas Tech wins, right? And I think that is the differentiator. Like 2 close games, maybe the BYU one shouldn't have been close, but 2 close games at the end of the day, BYU had a shot. They didn't make it. Shout out Brayden Burries. And here we are. So I think that's an A-tier team and a damn good one. But AJ DeBansta, let's worry a little bit more about trying to put the ball in the basket than trying to get to the free throw line as many times as possible. And I think you'll be benefited as a team fully by it.
We got Oklahoma State next up, Damon. Where are we doing with the Cowboys? Because this is, I feel like, another bubble team in the sense of we like what they have talent-wise at Oklahoma State. I believe in Steve Lutz is what he's building down there right now, but they have not had the results. You lose to Iowa State, you lose to TCU. Your wins so far in conference play are Kansas State and UCF. Losses to Texas Tech, Iowa State, Baylor, TCU, Iowa State. Yeah.
That's Baylor's one win.
Yeah. I feel like this is the lowest on the C tier, in my opinion. Where are you at?
I'm with you. TCU beat them by 3 on the road, it was at Fort Worth. But I think that they're really neck and neck, and I like TCU a little bit better.
Moving on, we have the one, the only, the incomparable Kansas. Kansas.
Tough ass team to rank, honestly, truly. Like this team, I feel like it might be the most difficult, Kevin.
It really might be because they have such boom or bust potential on a night-to-night basis.
Like how good are they truly? How far in a tournament could they get? I think that's all very up in the air. I think it's like they could lose first round. I wouldn't be shocked. They could lose in the Final Four, and I wouldn't be shocked. Like that is truly the type of team you're saying boom or bust that I think Kansas is.
I think we keep Kansas where we had them last week at the end of the A tier because they have that S tier ceiling in a way with one of the better players in the country and a bunch of good talent and a great coach in Bill Self, but they have not had the results, but they're starting to come on. Do you agree? End of the A tier for KU.
Yes, I think that's fair for now. The thing is, though, is I almost think that they're not as good as these two teams, but I do think they're better than UCF. So it puts us in a spot where I'm like, we got to pick one or the other. What are they closest to? And for you like A better than B?
I do. And I think like if you have one of the best players in the country and Bill Self and Melvin Council and Flory Badunga, and I've seen the way that this team can roll when they're on top of their game, it's hard for me to have them any lower than where we have them. Because I honestly, in my opinion, it's like KU and BYU to me are a lot more comparable than I think they seem on paper. And I cannot wait for that Darren Peterson, AJ DeBanza matchup if DP actually plays.
Yeah, that one's on Saturday, I believe, right? But
yeah,
they haven't really played anybody so far, Kevin. I'm looking at their schedule here. I mean, they lost to UCF first game in conference, then beat TCU in a game that, again, like I said with TCU, like easily TCU could have won that one. Then they lost at West Virginia. Then they beat Iowa State for a dominating win when they were number 2, and that's a huge W, right? But then they beat in the next 3 Baylor, Colorado, Kansas State. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Genuinely, who cares?
Like the 3 of the worst teams in this conference that wins against essentially mean absolutely nothing. Now you go play 3 of your next 4 games against BYU, Texas Tech, and Arizona. We're going to see what Kansas is made out of in that stretch, Kevin.
We will. They might very well end up in that B tier, like you said. And
then they play Iowa State again after that. So they have a 4 out of 5 game stretch where they play 4 of the top 13 teams in the entire country.
That's the Big 12 is absolute
ridiculous.
Cinema. It's absolute cinema. Moving on, we have Iowa State. Damon, I think this is still an A-tier team. Do you feel differently?
No. I think Iowa State is still very good. We disrespected them a little bit, way more than we disrespected Cincinnati in our kind of preseason takes on these teams, and they're solid. I'm not scared of Iowa State, though. I'll say that, and maybe I should be. Maybe I'm underselling them a little bit, but they scare me less than, say, a Kansas does, despite Kansas maybe being a little bit more boom or bust, not having the season quite to date that maybe an Iowa State has had. But, yeah, Iowa State, while they don't scare me, you got to respect what they've accomplished this season.
I agree, and you also have to respect their lineup that they have. They have 3 legitimate players that on their best night could play like an All-American. Taman Lipsey, Momcilovic, and Jefferson. They can all light it up on any given night. And they do have some of the better fans in the country on both sides of the basketball, men's and women's side of things, right, for Iowa State. So
yeah,
almost –
and their fans, I agree with you, 3DMK. Iowa State fans are angels.
Yeah.
Every one of them I've ever met is like the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. I was at Arizona Baylor when I went to Arizona Baylor in the homecoming game this season, Kevin. Somebody behind me was I forgot what they were, how it came up in reference, but they're somehow like Caitlin Clark came up, and these were Iowa State people, and they were like, yeah, we just love Caitlin Clark so much. And I was like, isn't that your guys' rival?
Yeah, shouldn't you hate her?
They're like, yeah, fashion? But we just like to rep Iowa, and she's awesome.
Wow.
And it's just, I was just like, that's just Iowa mentality, man. That's Iowa ball. They're just lovers over there. Nice people.
That is incredible. That really is. Damon, I think we've already almost finished this. We got one team left.
Absolutely.
Colorado. Welcome to the D tier, my friends. Tad, capital D Boyle, is in the D tier behind Baylor, in my opinion. Do you agree? Do you agree on the placement of one Colorado this week?
Yeah, they're not the worst team. They're also not very good. So they're 2-5 in conference. They're 12-8 overall. They've lost to Texas Tech by 2 in a game they almost came back in, that would have been insane. They've lost 5 straight here in the conference, Kevin.
Golly.
Albeit all of those teams except Cincinnati are pretty decent teams with winning records in this conference. But yeah, I think that they're a step above like the ASUs, the Utahs of the world, but they're not much above that.
There you have it, our Big 12 tier list for this week. We got Arizona and Houston in the S tier by themselves. Texas Tech, BYU, Iowa State, KU in the A tier. KU, let's see what you're made of. UCF in the B tier by themselves, all alone, gangs all here, and it's just 3 letters, UCF. The C tier is populated by West Virginia, TCU, and Oklahoma State, and a pretty packed D tier this week between Baylor, Colorado, Arizona State, and the 3 worst teams in the conference, Cincinnati, Utah, and Kansas State. Let us know what we got right, wrong, indifferent in the chat down below.
Texas Tech fans, I expect a big showing out of you guys on this VOD. A big time showing. And hopefully they actually listen to the words that were said, because I think that they have, out of the teams on there, I think Texas Tech would have the most right to be upset about their placement.
Yes.
And I don't have really much for you other than I just think that you guys are kind of uniquely built to beat a team like Houston, especially in a home environment, in a place where your fans are some of the best in the country. And yeah, I personally feel that there still is a bit of a level difference between the top 2 teams in Arizona and Houston and the next 3 to 4 in Texas Tech, BYU, Iowa State, and Kansas. But yeah, fun tier rankings, the Big 12. What a conference. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Roberto says Texas Tech is in the S tier for him right now, in his opinion, and they are this close for me to getting into that S tier. They're so close for me. But yeah, that was our rankings for the week. It was a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show. Of course, follow my friend, Mr. Kevin Thomas, at KevoPost. Dude's just putting in absolute work on the social media streets at all times during basketball season. No one loves this basketball program more than my friend Kevin Thomas. He is the follow for Arizona basketball as far as I'm concerned. But go ahead and give me a follow at Damon Dog. That's AWG. Follow Saul_Bookman. I'm just going to throw it at you.
Sniper Saul.
How about that sniper from last night? Thank you for the word usage there. Unbelievable. If you haven't checked it out, Saul absolutely cooked in the postgame and then grabbed one of the balls that kids were shooting on the Marriott Center floor with and just absolutely ripped a corner 3. Didn't even touch the rim. I mean, cash money of all cash money shots that you could find out there. Looked like that was Steph Curry stuff from our guy Saul Bookman. Follow him at Saul_Bookman. That was special. Follow us at PHX_Wildcats on all socials. And follow, except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Thank you so much to everyone who supported, watched this show, left a like. We are on our road to 50K before the Super Bowl. Help us get there if you haven't done so already. And if you haven't become a supporting club member yet, please do so. Drop some cool emojis in the chat. If you are a supporting club member, throw some DJ Tommies in there. Throw some Sims emojis. Throw some turnover swords. We want to see you guys run it up with the Arizona Wildcats chats as we get on out of here on a Basketball Tuesday of the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Oh, wait, Damon, we forgot something. We forgot to get to something very fun, and we can spend like 30 seconds on it before we get out of here. But last night, there was a very, very special referee refereeing Arizona versus BYU, everyone's most favorite, most beloved referee.
Oh, yeah.
One Tony Padilla, and Hurley Face out there on social media went ahead and took it upon themselves to put this together for us. And I think me and Damon are both joining the Tony Padilla Haters Club put together by Hurley Face 2022.
Yeah, that is at Hurley Face 2022 if you want to go see that on Twitter and maybe give it a retweet. But Kevin, I don't know what we're selling, stickers, patches.
This on a sticker would rip.
Balloons. Like, I want 1,000. I want all of them. I want to buy out the stock. I want to put it on my laptop case. I hate Tony Padilla. And everyone, I assume, is right there with me.
Yeah, 3DMK saying it should be Arizona's jersey patch, and I absolutely love that. I absolutely love
just
that.
Just right here. Just right there. Oh,
I could see a bad call and JB like turn into him and go in like,
give it to him on a branded bill, Max says. Just stick it right here on a branded bill. You know what's special about branded bills is you probably could take that logo to them and get it on one of their hats with some of their great custom apparel. But man, special stuff from Hurley Face 2022. And just, great work being done on the social media streets from the Arizona Wildcats nation out there, the faithful, Kevin. That's going to do it for us today. We're off tomorrow on a Wednesday. We're back on a Thursday at 2 p.m., our regularly scheduled showtime. Then we're going to be back live on Friday as well at 2 p.m., and then we'll bring you pregame and postgame on a Saturday. Cannot wait for that matchup, as the Arizona Wildcats, the number one team in the country, remains undefeated and beats BYU, and just wanted to make us, have a little bit of heart attacks in the meantime, Kevin. But job still got finished. Not upset about that one bit. I'll take a W. A W is a W, and the Wildcats win again. 21-0 feels pretty darn good. Follow Kevin, follow me, follow us at PHNX_Wildcats, and we'll catch you on Thursday's show at 2 p.m. Until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Tony Padilla, you absolutely suck.
We all silly like the mayor.